What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Past the 40. We have our guest today, Rachel Sobel, here joining me. Rachel, how are we doing?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Where are you joining us from today?
I am joining you from Boca Raton, Florida, from my closet, also known as my safe space, also known as my recording studio, also known as where I hide and eat candy I don't want my children to know about.
Multi-use room in the house.
Multi-purpose room. Yep.
Big time. Very,
Yep.
very impressive. For those of you who are listening on audio and not watching on video, I can confirm that there are shoes and hangers and plastic for dry cleaning and just all sorts of closety stuff right
But it's
behind where
neat,
Rachel's
right?
sitting. Super
It's neat.
neat. Super
Okay.
neat.
Okay.
Be proud. Are you ready and excited for your 40 questions today?
I am super excited for my 40 questions today.
I am too. Let's jump right into it. If you're ready, I'm ready.
Go for it.
Wine and Cheez-Its, your blog. Great name.
Yes.
What's
Thank
it
you.
what's it about and how did you come up with that name?
Wine, I tell people my little elevator pitch is wine and Cheez-Its was born out of the things I'm surrounded by most. So wine is with an H, Whine, and I have two little girls, and girls are filled with wine, the wine with the H kind.
Hmm.
And you're more likely to find in my bag more than anything useful, like open bags of goldfish and Cheez-Its and all those things. So kind of one of those punny, funny names that people seem to like, and so it stuck.
Is wine without the H a big part of your world as well?
It is, however, with a smaller baby, it's really hard because it's super fun to drink the wine, but then when you have to wake up the next morning and deal with a child at like 6 a.m., it's not so fun. So that part is probably not as enjoyed as it used to be.
Right. We learned prior to recording that our youngest are 1 month apart. So I
Yes,
feel you.
yes. It's all fun and games till you have to wake up in the morning.
What is your podcast about?
My podcast is with another local mom who's one of my closest and dearest friends, and it's all about motherhood. It's called the Keep It Real Moms, but we decided that there were so many podcasts out there talking about motherhood from like that canned perspective, the things you're supposed to discuss openly. We wanted the real stuff. We wanted like the real quick and dirty stories that we deal with as moms on a regular basis that people might not be so upfront and open about. So we talk about all things motherhood, but very, very unfiltered.
Great. Like not everything is so super and rosy.
No, like sometimes your
it's hard.
kids suck.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
your kids are amazing, but sometimes they suck.
Well, not mine, but yes, I've heard I've heard of kids sucking. But yeah, so that's great. It's called the Keep It Real Moms,
They keep it real moms,
and
yes.
that's available on iTunes.
It's right now, it is on YouTube and it is on, because we do it visually the way that you and I are doing it now. We
Hmm.
noticed when we did just audio for us because we're super, we had the hands going and the facial expressions. So a lot of that was lost in translation. So
Sure.
we keep it on Facebook Live and on YouTube.
All right, great. How long ago was it when you decided to make the leap and leave the confines of the cubicle to pursue your writing?
God, too long. It was probably about 5 years ago. I was scared out of my mind to leave a paycheck every week, especially with one child at the time and a marriage and a mortgage and all that stuff. My husband was kind of the driving force behind it because it was just, you get to that point where you walk into a Starbucks every day and you wish that you were a Starbucks barista instead of having like a full-time steady job. Like that's when it's kind of time to look at your life a little bit deeper, and that's kind of when the whole plan started to form, when I had more days like that than I should have.
Did you always want to be a writer?
I've always wanted to be a writer full time. It's always been part of my life because my background is in public relations. And so I'd say probably 85% of public relations is writing.
Hmm.
So it's always been in my professional life somehow, but I really wanted to get rid of all the stuff I was forced to write about and focus on the things that were important to me that I could throw some passion into and really be a storyteller more than just a writer.
Great. If you could teach a high school class on any subject, what would it be?
Is one of my favorite questions. I would teach a class on adulting, but like real things, like what it means to do laundry, what it means when your kid gets a stomach bug and you're changing sheets in the middle of the night and like running and catching vomit in your hands, and like what it means to do a school science project when you find out 24 hours and it's due. Like I feel like there's all these things, rites of passage as a parent, that you don't learn about until you are in the trenches. And I feel like I could teach a really good class on that.
It seems more useful than bioanthropology for a
Yes,
for a 17-year-old
totally.
kid.
or just give me a class on what I can expect to make when I come out of college. I don't know about you, but I cried when I got my first job offer with a master's degree because I was like, what? I don't think they adequately prepare you for what life is really like when you leave the safety of a school environment.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. What are you most excited about right now?
I think, well, personally, I'm most excited about summer because it means no packing lunches and no getting up with the alarm for school. So that I love summer. It's much more low key. Professionally, I'm trying to push myself outside of writing for a lot of the outlets I write for, like Scary Mommy and Pop Sugar, and focus more on a book. And that's always been my end goal. And I want to have many of them. So I'm trying very hard to make that leap to make it happen. But that's probably what I'm most excited about and trying to focus my energy on right now.
Awesome. Good luck with that process.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a lifelong goal. But
it is.
Yeah. Let's say you have to go on a road trip from South Florida to Vegas, and you have to bring 3 people with you. Who are you taking? And no family members allowed.
I'm bringing my best friend, who is like my ride or die. We are closer than sisters. Her name is Marnie. I'm bringing her with me for sure.
Okay.
I'm bringing my podcast partner and my other friend, Michelle. Now I have to balance it out a little bit because too much estrogen is not a good thing. So I think I'm going to bring someone totally random, and it's going to be Puff Daddy or P. Diddy or whatever he goes by now, because I feel like he'd be a good time.
Okay, so a couple things here. Puff Daddy, and that's what he will always be called in my world, is absolutely an incredible time, and it's a crime that no one else has put him in their car as of yet. And
right?
Second, not many people have answered this question with a unisex car. Almost everyone exclusively goes all guy. If you're a guy, all guys, and you're a girl, all girls. I've obviously been thinking about this for whenever I'm a guest and have to answer these questions.
Right.
But I respect the balance of getting some opposite sex in the car. I think it's very necessary.
Life is about balance. I mean, come on.
What 3 words would Marnie use to describe you?
It's funny because so I wrote down what I thought, and then I called her and I said, what 3 words would you use to describe me? So my 3 words were funny, brutally honest, which I know is 2 words, but I'm keeping it together, and real. So she argued with me automatically, because that's what we do, that brutally honest and real are the same.
Yeah. So
So she gave the words generous and gangster. I will accept both of those answers.
all right, so you got like 5 words there, but you can do that because you're so gangster.
I am.
What is something that you gave up on and wish you didn't?
Oh, what did I give up on? This is so hard because I'm so hard on myself and I don't want to be a quitter. I feel like there's so many little things in my life. There's nothing really big that I can honestly say that I've given up on that I have regrets about. I always pick up things like I want to learn Spanish and I want to be bilingual. And I'll always say to myself, it's so easy. I can put an app on my phone and then life takes over and I never do it. So I have like a million of those little things that are probably sitting on my desk right now as we speak that I've picked up to like get into and start and just haven't done it. Nothing earth shattering there. Really little mundane stuff.
Learning a new language is not mundane at all, and I can completely relate on those things.
Sometimes, yeah, I pretend sometimes I know. I'm like one of those people who's like, when they're like, "Oh, do you speak Spanish because you grew up in South Florida and Miami?" And I'm like, I understand it more than I speak it. That's like the biggest BS line. Nobody if you know it or you don't. You can't really like. So I'm one of those people, but I wish I knew it fluently.
You give like a un poquito,
right? Exactly. Yes, exactly. See, you know.
Because I speak it un poquito as well. What is a book that everyone should read?
Oh, that's a really good question. There's a lot of them. My favorite book of all time, which is going to sound cliche, but it is, and I've read it so many times, is To Kill a Mockingbird. It is my favorite book. I know it's like a childhood book, but I feel like it's one of those staples that everyone at some point should read. And now that I'm an adult and I can read whatever I want, I prefer more biographical things. And so I love Amy Schumer's book. I thought it was absolutely hilarious if you're into that type of thing. And I feel like there's so much stuff going on in our world right now between politics and economics and everything that sometimes you need levity. And it's okay to take that break and not constantly watch CNN or, be tuned into everything that's informing you, and just take a break and have some levity. So I think if you're going to read something, it should be for entertainment every once in a while.
Good answer. If you could ensure that your daughters have an experience that you had yourself, what would you want that to be?
An experience that I did have?
Yes.
I want them to live outside of Florida. I never moved outside of Florida until my mid 20s. And once I did, it was really hard to come back. I was in Boston, I was in Manhattan. And I feel like it's such a humbling experience to leave your little bubble where you grow up and be in a bigger city. And I want them to do it single. I want them to be young and in a city somewhere and feel that energy and feel that vibe before they settle down and really, really have those experiences.
Couldn't agree more. Fill in a sentence. Life is too short to tolerate blank.
Fake people.
All right. What's your optimal writing environment? And do you have like a ritual for the times you decide to be like, all right, I am sitting down now for the next hour or two or three and writing?
I cannot write on no sleep. It's really hard. So I need to be well rested. I tend to do my better writing either early in the morning, when the kids are either asleep or at school, or when everybody's in bed. I can't be around people. I have to kind of be isolated. I light candles. I make it very zen, almost like I'm taking myself on a date. It's very romantic. The mood is really nice. Maybe I have a glass of wine that I may or may not drink, but it's there as a prop, and I just need that mood.
Do you go into the closet?
I have. I've gone into the closet, and I've actually gone into Starbucks, which is probably the noisiest place in the world, but I take my headphones, my computer, and I kind of go off on my own little island and zone out. As long as my ears are covered and I have music piped in or something else, I can tune everyone else out, but I have to be alone. I cannot write with people around me.
What's the best piece of advice you often give out to people?
I think the most common thing I tell people is to be themselves and be 100% authentic and true to yourself. And if it turns people off or people push back, then they're not your people.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
I do have a celebrity crush, but I want to be very clear about my celebrity crush. I have
Please.
two. I have a girl crush on Mila Kunis. I am like obsessed with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a celebrity crush on the adult Zac Efron, not like the High School Musical Zac Efron, because that's creepy, but the adult, like Zac Efron grew up into like a man, and he is a good looking man. He's like a younger, I mean, I like David Beckham too, but I like that look, that really like pretty look.
What's a piece of advice you would give to your 20-year-old self?
Don't worry so much.
Don't stress out. A big worrier?
I think I still am a big worrier. I'm very type A, and I'm very, I get ahead of myself sometimes thinking about all the things that could possibly go wrong instead of just living in the moment. And I wish I could tell my 20-year-old self to be a little more present and stop worrying about all the things that haven't happened yet, because everything does work out, not always on the timeline you want or, how you want it to happen. But I think the universe has plans for us in some respect or another. And I think I worried about really silly things that really now in my 40s they don't matter at all.
If you had to repeat any single year of your life exactly as it happened the first time, which year would you relive?
It would be last year. It would be 2017, which I know is current, but that was the year that one of my biggest dreams that I didn't know if it would happen came true when I delivered my second child. And gave my older daughter a sibling, which I didn't know would happen because she's from my first marriage. And I wanted that so bad for her and for our family. And even though it was tumultuous and it was messy and it was chaotic and there was nothing perfect about it, just to have that moment again, everything that led up to it, I would do 10 times over.
Awesome. So let's keep that vibe going in 2018 and beyond.
Okay.
Who's the best stand-up comedian of all time?
Oh God. I mean, that's like, you could go like, the whole classic route, like Eddie Murphy and that whole route, which I love also. I know this is going to sound like super, again, cliche, but I love this like surge of really strong female comedians that just don't care how they're perceived. Like, I know that Amy Schumer is a love or hate thing. I love her. I love Chelsea Handler. And what I love about them is that they took that stand-up comedian moment and forayed it into like a much bigger career for themselves, sitting behind a desk of a talk show or touring or being in movies and things like that. And they didn't just stay in that one world.
Can I recommend someone for you?
Yes.
Ali Wong.
Is she the one doing pregnant? Is she doing pregnant stand-up? Okay, I'm gonna have to check her out. I've seen her.
Yeah, so she has a new Netflix special, which I haven't seen yet, but I just recently watched her one from a couple of years ago with my wife, like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay,
she's really
I'm gonna check her out.
She's really funny and like right along those same lines of just females who just don't give a fuck and just
Okay,
like throwing it out there.
I am checking her out for sure.
Yeah, it's good. So you recently added something to your resume, and that was sperm sample courier in response
Yes.
in response to your husband's vasectomy.
Yes.
I recently had that consult, so I'm planning to undergo the same procedure probably before the summer's up. My one important question for you is, what did your husband binge watch the few days after when he was laid up in bed? As you so eloquently put it in your blog post, frozen balls.
Frozen balls. He binge watched a lot because as much as we watch shows together, he's got his shows that I don't watch, like Homeland and Blacklist and all these shows that he had, and I can't even tell you half of them. But he definitely has them all stored. He didn't watch anything for the first 24 hours because he was knocked out and unhappy, and just trying to get used to this new normal. But he also milked it a little bit, like definitely milked it, which he deserves.
As
I mean,
we,
it's
as
a
we
big,
do. As we tend to do.
you know, it's like the man cold times 1,000.
Yep.
But he binge watched pretty much 30% of whatever was on our DVR across the board, like all the series he watches without me.
Struggling to figure out how I'm going to spend those 48 hours of my life.
You're going to be, listen, the best part about it for him was that he knew that nothing could be asked of him. So he must have told me like 40 times, you know that I can't lift the baby. And I'm like, yeah, I got it. I understand. Like, I'm clear. You can't lift the baby. But he just wanted to make sure that he was out of commission. And so I think just being in a room by himself with the remote control and the television and occasional snacks being brought to him was like the best 48 hours of his life. And then I was like, all right, let's go. We're back in business now.
I mean, the way you describe it, just lying in bed with the remote with snacks being brought to you. I mean,
right.
I can't believe everyone doesn't go get this operation like tomorrow.
Right?
If you could work for any person in the world, who would it be and what job would you want?
It's funny, going back to the whole female comedian thing, because I love writing, it would be a dream to be a writer for something that was on television or some kind of show. Mm-hmm. I would love to work for someone like Chelsea Handler just writing her material, because I feel like she's very unfiltered the way that I am. She also is very unapologetic, and I could totally get behind that. And I think that the sarcasm and the stuff that I would bring to the table matches with the kind of content that she puts out there. And that would be like a dream come true. But to be real, like, I would get her coffee. If she said, do you want to work for me and get me coffee and hold my umbrella, I would be like, sign me up.
Right. Big Chelsea fan?
Yes, love her.
If you could only keep 3 apps on your smartphone, what would they be?
A filter, a photo filter, for sure, because I'm 41. Sometimes things happen. Some kind of game, probably Subway Surfers or something for my kids, because God forbid they don't have an electronic for like 5 minutes that we're waiting in line to get food somewhere and their head explodes. So I need some kind of game for them. And then Venmo. I live for Venmo. Venmo is my jam. I don't carry cash anywhere. I Venmo everyone.
All right. Those are intriguing answers. Most people usually go
Are they?
Most people go the Waze, Spotify route, some type of music app.
Yeah, I have the worst sense of direction. I get lost with Waze anyway, so that really doesn't help me.
Doesn't even help?
No.
For your last meal, what would you eat?
Probably surf and turf. Probably like filet and lobster.
The turf from anywhere specific? Is there any meat that you prefer? Or South Florida not that big on steakhouses?
No, South Florida is good on steakhouses. I mean, I would stick to a fillet. I would do like an 8-ounce fillet, cooked medium, between medium rare and medium, maybe a side of a nice potato or something to go with it. But yeah,
you can go all out. This is your, this is your swan song.
Truffled mac and cheese.
There you go.
A bottle of red wine.
Now you're
myself.
talking. Dessert, appetizers, whatever you need.
Yeah.
If you were hosting this podcast, what is a question you would want to ask other 40-year-olds?
I would, similar in fashion to a lot of the stuff that I do content-wise, where I talk about things that I think a lot of people don't talk about, I think I would ask other 40-year-olds what rites of passage they've experienced since they've entered their 40s that other people haven't talked about. Like, I joked about readers earlier. The minute I turned 40, I all of a sudden couldn't see in front of me. And I went to the eye doctor. He's like, yeah, you're 40. You need readers. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought that was like when you're 60 something, but apparently it's in your 40s. So like all those little things that happen, your body breaks down a little bit, your knees hurt a little bit more, like all these things happen that aren't earth-shattering major things, but I wish someone would just have told me. So I'd like to know if there are things that other people have experienced that maybe haven't happened to me yet that I need to be prepared for.
I didn't. I mean, you just informed me about the readers thing. I did
Oh
not know
yeah, you're
that.
gonna
So
need. Yeah,
I
you're
need to
gonna
go
need
check
them.
my. I should go check my eyes. Is what you're telling me?
I mean, can you see when you hold? You have to go like this when you like. You have to hold something away from your face when you're reading like an Advil bottle, or when you buy your probiotics at Costco in bulk because you need probiotics when you're 40.
I don't know. I don't think I have great eyesight, but I don't think I'm like in trouble just yet. But it's probably deteriorating by the
Yeah,
by each pixel that I stare at on the screen all day.
that's what happens.
Now that you have experience as a parent 2 times over, what is something that your parents did really well?
My parents were really good about creating a very liberal and open environment where nothing was off limits. So they weren't my friends in the sense where boundaries were crossed and it was inappropriate, but I knew that I could approach them with anything, any tough question, anything that I experienced, anything I witnessed. And I strive every day to do that for my girls because I think, especially with girls, I don't want them to ever feel like I'm going to judge or be mad at them for something they heard, said, or did. I'd rather them feel safe. I want myself and my husband to be their safe place. My parents did such a good job with that. I never questioned ever coming to them if I had a concern or a question.
Great. Let's say you're going to a deserted island and have a 6 CD changer, which other 40-year-olds listening know what we're talking about when we say a CD changer. What CDs are you bringing with you to fill this 6 disc?
So obviously my first one is Notorious B.I.G. Ready to Die. It's
Okay.
like one of the best albums that have ever existed.
I've heard of it.
Heard of it? Okay.
Yeah.
That's going to be one. Then I'm going to mix it up a little bit because I am a child of the 90s and say Pearl Jam 10.
Okay.
Then I'm going to say Bob Marley Legend because sometimes you just need that chill, kick back and relax. Like you feel like you're on vacation with that,
Of course.
vibe. I am a Journey fan, even with the new replacement, the new lead singer replacement, who is phenomenal. If you close your eyes, he sounds just like Steve Perry. It is mind blowing. So I'm going to say Journey's Greatest Hits is coming with me because I like
Okay.
those cheesy ballads.
Great.
And then I'm going to say, I wrote down 2 more. Madonna's Immaculate Collection, fantastic album. I don't know if men all feel that way. I feel that way.
Who doesn't love Madonna?
I mean, and then I've always had a place in my heart for LL Cool J. So I'm going to say Mr. Smith.
Interesting. Nice variety there. I respect it. I don't know if I'm picking an LL album, I would probably go with "Mama Said Knock You Out" over Mr. Smith. But hey, to each his own. At least you have Cool James with you in the island to keep you company.
That's and P Diddy can sing with us too.
Right, he's driving the car to the island. What is a pet peeve of yours?
Oh, I hate when people leave. Well, when I say people, I mean my family. I hate when my family eats or drinks something and then puts the cup or the dish like next to the sink. Just put it in the sink. It's like when you see people, instead of throwing things in the garbage, they like put it on top of the garbage. Just throw it out or put it where it belongs. I just like things where they go. So just put the dishes in the sink, laundry in the hamper, not on the floor. Those are just put things where they go.
So the drink in the sink thing.
Yeah.
What do you think the reason is that somebody would leave it there versus inside?
Because they know I'm going to do it. They know that I'm going to do it. I'll check first if it's full. Maybe they're not done with it. But there's like empty cups and dishes and used utensils just sitting lonely and sad on the side of my sink. And also the dishwasher could be clean. You could check the dishwasher and just stick it right in there.
For sure.
Never happens.
What's the best trip you have not taken yet?
I am a horrible flyer. Like I have to be basically knocked out, like anesthetized to get on a plane. I don't know when this happened to me, but it did. Mm-hmm. I'm dying to go to Hawaii. My husband and I want to go so bad. We were thinking of going for our honeymoon and then I chickened out and I was like, I need to just go on a plane for 2 hours. I can't do a long flight like that. Mm-hmm. And I've been to California many times, which is crazy too. But Hawaii, I think, is number one.
All right. Make it happen. You stop over in California, hang out for a couple days and split it up a little bit.
Then I have to get on and off a plane. I need to just be on the plane and go. I can't. Yeah.
What is a skill that you would like to acquire in the next 40 years of life?
Other than better negotiation skills with my children?
That can be one.
That's up there. I lose every time, and I'm pretty smart and I'm very feisty, but I've met my match times two, so I'm in big trouble. I need to work on those negotiation skills because they get away with everything because I'm just tired. But I have always wanted to like sing or play an instrument, but it's one of those things that you put it on the back burner. I don't have time. Sure. I have kids. I have a job. I'd love to do something musically. I have the worst voice in the world, so I don't know that I can be saved, but it'd be pretty amazing. I look at people who can get up and like sing a song, and I'm in awe of them.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. I don't see myself doing that either.
Yeah.
I'll rap for somebody, but I don't know about singing.
Same.
If you could live the life of a fictional character, who would you choose?
You know, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking there's so many people to choose from because you can go back to TV shows and say like, oh, I'd be like one of Mr. Drummond's kids and like live that lavish life and whatever. And then my mind started spinning. And you know who I think I would really be? I think I would be Sophia from the Golden Girls. And I'll tell you why.
Please
because
do.
She was like a pioneer. Like I think back in that, right now, I think it's very acceptable to be outspoken and to, especially as a woman, to like speak your mind and not be perceived as like a hard ass, you know, whatever. She was like a pioneer because she did not give a shit. She did not care. She spoke her mind. She didn't care what anyone around her thought. And everyone listened to her. Like everybody listened to her. Nobody thought she was like crazy and didn't take her advice. They all ended up listening to her. I just want to be that kind of person who really has just lets go of all, you know, preconceived notions and just says what's on her mind 24 hours a day. I'm getting there. I'm like halfway there. I'm almost Sophia.
Well, you're halfway to Sophia's age probably as well.
True.
So you're on the right pace. Who knew Estelle Getty was such a pioneer?
She is. She is.
What is a bad habit that you're trying to get rid of?
Worrying. I still worry. I worry about my kids. I worry about work. I worry about where my, you know, next chunk of paycheck money is coming from. I worry all the time. I worry about my house. Thank God for my husband. He's like a saint and he's very, just calm down. Everything's good. But I'm constantly worrying for no reason, no good reason. There's no reason to do it, but it's just one of those, I do think it's a habit and it's something that I've had my whole life and I need to get out of my headspace with that.
What was the most terrifying moment in your life so far?
Bringing home a baby for the first time with no nurses and doctors and like leaving the confines of a hospital where people are there to help you.
Right.
Terrifying.
It just starts.
Terrifying. I've never been the same.
You're still terrified every day.
Every day I'm terrified. What are they going to want today? I'm terrified every day.
If you could call any living person to ask for advice, who would it be?
God, this is going to sound so cheesy, but I feel like if I had to phone a friend, it would be Oprah. She's so smart. Not even just forget about like intelligence wise, like everything she's touched has turned to gold. Everything. Like she is another woman who does things on her own terms. She doesn't care what people think. She's not a size 2 walking around with like the hottest. She lives her life and she's so giving to other people. I think I would call her. I feel like she would give really good advice.
She absolutely would, and I don't think that was too cheesy. Like when you said it was going to sound cheesy, I thought you were going to say your dad or your mom or something like that.
No, I would call Oprah over my mom and dad.
Yeah, I mean the first one that jumps into my head is Obama. So I'm probably like we're on the Obama, right. Oprah, similar right. Line of thinking.
Very
there.
Similar. Obama would be on my list. I'd put him on my list for sure.
What's a quirk of yours that few people know about?
When I have any kind of drink, like water, iced tea, whatever it is, I have to have a straw. I need to have my drinks with a straw, and I have to have so much ice that you can barely get the straw in the cup. Like it has to be like extra cold. And I can't drink anything without ice.
You use the straw for every sip?
Every sip. Every single sip.
With that much water, doesn't all of your drinks get watered down at some point?
No, because like in Florida, it's so hot. So I'm usually out and about with. Did you watch Weeds? Were you a fan of Weeds? Okay, so Nancy Botwin is like my spirit animal, minus some of the questionable things she did, and she always was like walking around with an iced coffee in hand, and that's basically how I live my life. And so I find that the more ice, and maybe this is why I do it. The more ice you have, the colder it stays longer. So the ice kind of melts in Florida pretty quickly. So I'm still safe for like an hour.
Wait, so the more ice equals more cold? You,
It
you
gets more
discovered that?
cold. Well, no, I did that. That's science. That's science. But I discovered that like it's the perfect ratio of Florida sun and a drink not completely just turning to liquid nothing. It's a really good ratio. I've perfected it over the years.
What is a great compliment that you've received that has stuck with you?
Um, the compliments now that for my that carry me in the last few years that really give me life are when someone reads something that I wrote and I don't know them and they reach out to me and the first thing they say every time is it was so relatable. It was so honest and so relatable. And I think when I started on this journey and left my job and decided I was just going to be a writer one day, um, that's I wanted people to read anything that I wrote and be like, yes, nodding, yes, I get that. Even
Mm-hmm.
if we're not, that was so important to me. And so when I every once in a while I get a message or a DM or an email from someone I've never met in my life who has no ties to any friends, and they say those words, "You're so real and relatable." That keeps me motivated to churn out more content.
For sure. I get that completely. When would you like to retire? And what does that look like?
Last year, I would have loved to retire already.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm sure you feel this doing what you're doing. Like when you're essentially running your own business, you don't stop. Like you don't stop working. So whether you're recording a podcast, writing content, I don't have a 9 to 5 situation. So I don't know what retirement looks like. I think that ideally I'd love to write a slew of books and have enough money from royalties and publishing houses and everything to sit back and enjoy my life with my kids and travel and be with my husband and all that stuff. My husband always says that he's retiring when I make my first really big paycheck from writing a book, but that's not going to happen. I will not allow that. But I don't know. It's interesting. When you work in an office and you have a 401k and you have all these things, I think you think about retirement as this very methodical thing. And then when you leave that traditional work life, I don't know what it looks like.
Great. It doesn't need to look any different than what you're doing now.
Yeah. It's sitting in my closet having a chat.
Exactly. What is something that all 40-year-olds should go and do or try ASAP?
God, all of it. I think what we do as parents a lot is when we travel, we feel inclined that we have to take our kids everywhere. And I do think it's important to have those family experiences. But I think when you're in your 40s and you hopefully are at a position in your life where you have a little bit more income and a little bit, you're smarter with your money, you're saving better, you have a college plan, all these things, that you should spend more time one-on-one with your spouse and travel and do things together. Because I think that I'm a mom first. I am all about my kids. My husband knows the pecking order, but I do think it's important to keep the connection that helped form those children, because once they leave the house, then you'll sit at each other on the, in rocking chairs on the porch and stare at each other like, who the hell is this person?
Right.
So I know that some people might say, oh, I want to go and, travel the world and I want to, and I get all of that. But I think too practically these days. And I think that we need to nurture the relationships we have in our 40s because life is so short, as we see every day. And so I think that all 40-year-olds should pay more attention to their relationships on a regular basis.
Well said. Well said. When your daughters turn 40, how do you want them to finish the sentence? The most important thing my mom taught me was blank.
To be kind. I think it's so important. I think people are so mean. Kids are so mean. As a writer, I don't look at the comment section when I'm published somewhere because trolls have too much time on their hands and they say very mean things, and I am feisty, and so I know if I read them I'm going to attack, and the Miami's gonna come out and it's not gonna be good. So I try, I want them to be feisty and have that edge, but I think it's so important for all of us to teach our children to be kind.
I think that's a good practice not to read the comment section.
I made the mistake. Yeah. Do you ever watch when Jimmy Kimmel reads like the mean tweets about himself? And so the first article I ever wrote was for Scary Mommy, and it was about being divorced. And the comments were unreal, and I made the mistake of reading them, and then I had to do something to turn it around. So I filmed myself reading what people were saying about me, and they were bad, and I posted it. But it was like cathartic. It was like a little bit of therapy, again, a little bit of levity. But people are mean. They are mean behind a computer screen.
For sure. Who is someone that you think should be a guest on this podcast?
Like a celebrity person or a real person?
Celebrities, not real people, is what you're saying?
Well, I mean, no, but a celebrity is like a celebrity. It's like, you have to go through their people. You have to call PR people. You have to like go through a whole rigmarole.
We have resources.
I would love for you to talk to, who I think would be, but I don't think she's 40. Jason Biggs and Jenny Mollen. I'm like big fans of them. I don't know if you follow them at all. He's 40. He just turned 40. She is hilarious. Out there, and the things that come out of her mouth, like I wish I came up with. And if she is 40, you should interview her. And she actually lives in Manhattan, and she is just as real as it gets.
All right. I'll check out, I'll call some people.
Yeah. Tell her I love her.
You got it.
Never met her in person, but I love her.
We are approaching the end of the show here. We asked the same last question to everyone. You chose a song that is going to play us out of here for those listening on audio. What song did you choose, and why did you choose it?
I chose Juicy by The Notorious B.I.G. That song to me is it's like an anthem. It's like an anthem of like, you can do anything, you can be anything. I've always loved it. It's been, even though it's probably one of his more mainstream songs, it's always been one of my favorite songs. I have him painted on my nails right now. He is on my nails. I will show you so you can see, but he's right there. I
can confirm, if anyone is listening, that on Rachel's pointer finger is Biggie with the Crown.
Yep. And I just think it's one of those feel-good songs that, like, you hear it and you want to bop around and walk into a room. So it's my anthem.
It's a good one. I think everyone around our age loves that song. Brings them back to the mid-'90s.
Totally.
But how did you get that on your nail? How does that work?
My manicurist is a genius. No, it's just a regular manicure with decals. There's gold chains on the rest of them.
So it's like just a sticker on top of the nail?
Sticker on top of the nail. I saw it, had to have it. It was right around his birthday when I got a manicure, and I said, "This is perfect."
It's an excellent job by you right there, and by your genius manicurist. I must say, very impressed with the manicure to match the outro song. There you go. Nice work on your part. You've clearly done this before, as we said. You have experience as a podcaster. On video, so you knew that this was coming and you planned it perfectly, and I respect it.
Oh, well, thank you.
Where can people find you online? Blog, podcast, website, all of the above?
So my blog website is wineandcheezits.com. That's wine with an H. And then all of my social is the same. So I'm on Instagram at Wine and Cheez-Its. Facebook is Wine and Cheez-Its. And the only one that's different is Twitter. It's Wine Cheez-Its because they wouldn't let me do the and. But all of my social handles are on my wineandcheezits.com site. You can link through and follow me there. And then the podcast is called The Keep It Real Moms. And that is easiest to find on Facebook. And then you can branch out from there to find us in other places.
Awesome. A lot of places. Go check out Rachel, especially if you're a mom that wants to not pretend like everything is just so lovely.
No, it's okay. It's okay to admit it.
It's totally okay. Go do it. Rachel, thank you for joining me today. I had fun.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us on another episode of Past the 40, and we'll see you next time.